Apple's changes for the iPhone 18 now seem to bring an oldie but goodie to the camera system. Samsung has made its Project Moohan event official with a pretty interesting approach to the price tag. Apple goes live with its M5 chip, a new MacBook Pro, iPad Pro, and Vision Pro. Samsung is reportedly getting controversial with yet another change in the course of its Galaxy S26 series. And yes, Apple's iPhone Fold might end up being cheaper than expected, at least for Apple. I'm Jaime Rivera, and yes, our Technically There podcast is now live with Joshua Vergara, so look out for links at the end of this video. But first, we've got 5 interesting topics. This is TechBriefing powered by MediaTek. The official news today begin with Apple because you knew it was coming. The company has officially unveiled its M5 chip, which will power the latest 14-inch MacBook Pro, the new iPad Pros, and even the Vision Pro. I know, they all retain the same designs we had before, but this chip is actually a big deal. Like in the case of the A19 and A19 Pro, the M5 is built on TSMC's 3rd generation 3nm process, with this chip introducing a 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, but then each GPU core featuring its own neural accelerator for dramatically faster AI and graphics performance, just like in the new iPhones. It's not just an iterative update once you look at the numbers. Apple claims up to 15% faster CPU speeds, sure, but then up to 45% better graphics compared to the M4, along with a 30% increase in unified memory bandwidth, now reaching 153 gigabits per second. The chip also includes a new 3rd generation ray tracing engine and an improved 16-core neural engine, all resulting in more realistic visuals, faster rendering, and greater efficiency for AI-driven tasks. The new MacBook Pro, iPad Pro, and Vision Pro with the M5 chip are already available for pre-order, but design-wise, all 3 remain identical to what we had before, as I mentioned earlier. The base 14-inch MacBook Pro still features the same Liquid Retina XDR display, MagSafe 3 port, and up to 24 hours of battery life starting at $1,599 in the United States. Now, what's interesting is that we hear European buyers won't find the charger in the box due to regional packaging restrictions. We also noticed that the old Vision Pro can't be traded in for credit towards the M5 model, pretty much alienating the group that would have bought it in a heartbeat, though we do have new straps and other updates. Meanwhile, the more powerful MacBook Pro models featuring M5 Pro and M5 Max chips are expected to arrive in early 2026. Let me know what you think about these updates in the comments. And speaking of official news and XR headsets, let's switch to Samsung as their next event just gained the spotlight. The company has officially confirmed that its long-awaited Android XR headset, codenamed Project Moohan, that we've been seeing since early this year, will be unveiled on October 21st. The event, titled Worlds Wide Open, will mark Samsung's debut in the mixed reality space and will be streamed live on YouTube at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Reservations for the headset are already open on Samsung's website, offering a $100 credit towards additional products with no upfront cost. Developed in collaboration with Google and Qualcomm, Project Moohan is designed around the Android XR platform, which Samsung describes as optimized with AI from the start to bring intelligence and immersive capabilities across devices, or so they say. The company promised everyday utility blended with immersive experiences, setting what it calls a new benchmark for XR. While Samsung has yet to confirm pricing, previous reports suggest that the headset will cost around $1,800, which is nearly half what Apple is currently charging for the Vision Pro. The October 21st event should finally reveal the headset's official name, design, and availability. I really tried it briefly at Google I/O. It was pretty awesome, but I can't really tell you much about it because that was still a prototype. I'm curious to know what you're looking forward to in this product in the comments. And speaking of Samsung, grab some popcorn as things continue to get interesting. Now, the most basic news is that the Ultra continues to surface in new leaks, this time shown inside yet another protective case, and once case makers get a product, it's pretty much final. The latest renders confirm that the redesigned camera layout featuring 3 sensors grouped together in a raised oval island instead of individual cutouts is pretty much going to happen. At this point, let's just bet on this design is final. And listen, it makes sense. We've seen it on the Z Fold lineup and some of the affordable variants, so I guess it's going to happen. Who knows, maybe it'll mean that the phone is getting thinner and that's the reason you need the hump. We'll see about that. But the controversial part is the future of the Galaxy S25, or should I say S26 Edge, or both. First, we heard there were 3 phones for the S26 lineup, the Pro, the Edge, and the Ultra. Then 4 phones last week, with the Plus making a comeback. Now we here Samsung is going to fully ditch the Edge. According to a report out of Korea, sales of the Edge were so bad that even if the company had already finalized plans for its design, as we saw in leaks, the device got pulled last minute. The company is reportedly even halting production of the S25 Edge because the device has barely sold less than a tenth of what devices like the Ultra were able to achieve in the same period of time. I wonder if what affected the Edge was the fact that it launched later, but I'm curious to know what you think of why this device failed in the comments. Now let's switch back to Apple as rumors of the iPhone Fold continue to get interesting. At this point, it's no secret that Apple has mastered smartphone profits. To be able to beat Android phones in a ton of metrics with less hardware is an obvious example of good vertical integration, but the result is also products that are less expensive to produce. Now, if you remember the rumors of that iPhone Fold costing pretty much the same as the Z Fold 7, well, now we kind of know why. We're expecting the iPhone Fold in late 2026, and news sources claim that it'll actually be cheaper to produce than anything else thanks to major reductions in cost on the hinge. According to Ming-Chi Kuo, who pretty much has a flawless track record, the hinge component is about $70 to $80 cheaper than initially expected, mainly due to design optimizations led by Foxconn. Around 60% of the hinge will be made in Foxconn and Shenzhou Xing's joint venture, while Amphenol will handle the remaining 35%. This cost drop means Apple will likely enjoy higher profit margins on the iPhone Fold rather than lowering the retail price, as it usually happens. Kuo also revealed that Luxshare ICT could join the hinge supply chain later in 2027, suggesting further cost reductions in the future. Now, your guess is as good as mine if this technology will make it to competitors first, but I'm curious to know if you care about this foldable in the comments. Now, before we get to the hottest news, let me tell you about today's sponsor, MediaTek. When you look or try out the CMF Phone 2 Pro, the first thing you'll think is that there is no way this phone costs just $279. The design is gorgeous. It has a triple camera system that's modular with optional accessories. It's got a great display, performance, and battery life, but what really makes this possible is the power of MediaTek's Dimensity 7300 Pro. Its 4nm architecture enables support for great display quality, accelerated gaming, the latest forms of connectivity, and top-tier AI computing at more aggressive price points. It's the reason brands like nothing trust MediaTek for devices like these. Thanks to MediaTek for sponsoring this video. And finally, for the hottest news today, let's talk iPhone 18 Pro, because it seems Apple is not done with the camera improvements. Those of you wondering how Apple plans to differentiate this phone from the current ones, well, it might just be that the company is bringing an oldie but goodie that Samsung did years ago. If you remember the variable aperture we had on the Galaxy S9 and S10 series, yeah, I miss my S10 Plus too. Well, if you remember, Samsung ditched it because it was too expensive and complicated to produce. And then there's the fact that it was just a two-step design, making it not as useful as we see on any regular camera. Well, reports have it that Apple is bringing this technology to the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max on the primary sensor, though specifics as to how many steps it'll support are still unknown, as I'm sure the technology has gotten better. For context, if you don't know much about camera lenses, I'm currently using a Sigma 24-70 f2.8 lens on my A7S III. The lower the f-stop is, the more light that enters the lens, which is great for low light or better bokeh, but not so useful during the day, so the variability of a lens is convenient if done mechanically more than through software as it currently works. Apple is said to be finalizing component deals with suppliers like LG Innotek and Foxconn, which are expected to handle production of the variable lens, and Chinese firms like Luxshare ICT and Sunny Optical Manufacturing for the actuator. Whether this will likely come to the air is yet to be seen, though. In today's question, let me know, what camera feature would you like to see on the next iPhones, or if anything, on every other phone? Because I would love it if we got that squared center stage sensor on all cameras, allowing for multiple aspect ratios for any kind of photo from an iPhone. That has to be the coolest thing that I've seen this year so far, but I'm curious to know what you would like to see in the comments. Friends, thank you so much for joining on another episode of Tech Briefing. Please like, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments, as I'm sure you've seen me respond to as many as I can. Also, follow me on social media as more behind-the-scenes work continues to happen there. By the way, as you asked, our first podcast episode with Josh is now live. Our show is called Technically There, and the first episode pretty much explains it all. Would really appreciate your support with a subscribe there as well, along with your feedback, as this is built around you in mind. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.